Hi, everybody. Everybody feeling good? Good. Well, here's a reminder of what we need to know, and that's to know who we are, the unique person that we were born as. No apologies. Move forward with that inner truth, and then you'll be of use to yourselves, never mind countless others. Here's a kid in a picture with me who was already in dance class. It took me a long time to get there, and dance was and is my passion. See, I was a different kid. I was not like the other boys, certainly not like my older brother or younger brother. I liked all the things girls liked, okay? I had dolls. I'm admitting it, and I played with them and I loved them. I didn't want to climb trees. I didn't want to dig holes. I wanted to redecorate the living room. I'm not kidding. And I did, often and over again, because I had the coolest mother in the world. She was my best friend. She said to me, hey, so you're different. You're not like the other boys. God made you this way. She prayed a lot. I liked her God. She said, embrace it, go forward. She was so wonderful. She was heroic. I would say she was heroic. So I felt empowered in her company. My father threw a bit of a wrench in the mix. He felt the need to change me. Unknowingly, this wasn't a good thing. I mean, I think he was a good man. He just was really not good at being a father for the middle different boy. He tore the baseball bat out of my hand. He tore the paintbrush out of my hand. No! Stomped away. And unknowingly, he was teaching me to doubt myself. And not only that, but to be afraid. And that's not cool, because kids have very open, clean, fertile hard drives. It's not all cluttered with adult junk yet. So things take a lot of space. My mother's treatment, she taught me how to treat other people because it felt so good. And as I said, I was empowered. I couldn't wait to treat other people that way. My father's treatment confused me, shall we say. But it wasn't a bad family. For instance, we did things together. We went to the Yankee Stadium often. I hated that. My brothers loved it. I hated it. At the end of the ninth inning, I would say, oh, God, it's a tie. Just shoot me. If it was a double header, I said, okay, so my life is over right now. I'll take care of it. But we also watched the Ed Sullivan Show every Sunday night. Do young people know what that is or was? Okay, didn't think so. It was a variety show, and all kinds of talent were on it. And it was a black and white TV, of course, in those days, in the 50s, the dark ages. But that was my first exposure to the performing arts, and I was blown away by all those different shapes and sizes of people and ages and colors, all with these unique talents, paying it forward, passing it on. And as a result, millions of people watching had needs fulfilled, in some cases needs we weren't aware we had, until we laughed so hard, had that feeling afterwards. And in my case, touched and moved by the dance, because they were communicating without speaking. And without words, in my case, I wouldn't be told, stop talking like that, you sound like a girl, from my father, or laughed at from the kids. In 8th grade, I saw a high school production of a show called Guys and Dolls. And it changed my life again. Now those aliens, 3 planets away on the black and white TV, that like-minded village of talented, different people were within reach. It was in color, it was live music, and it was my high school. So I could be a part of that village, perhaps, and admit to myself who I knew I was. By high school, I had the courage to audition for whatever that show was going to be, and it was Brigadoon. And I auditioned courageously, and they made me a dancer. Now I'm 15, I have no dance training, but I have such a passion to be a part of this village, and now I'm in it. Saw it on TV, saw it from an audience, and now I'm in it. And it changed my life again. I thought, these are the people that I will someday admit to myself who I am. I'll have that courage, and I'm getting closer. The choreographer and the director came to me towards the end of the run, and they said, you know, you're pretty good, but you're old, you're 15. You've got to start ballet. It's the foundation. It's the cement pour to build any dance form on top of. That's all I needed to hear. Mom, ballet. Of course, my heroine, she's on the phone. Within 2 days, I'm taking 2 ballet classes a week. Now I'm closer yet to finding my purpose, because this art form, this pure, silent, angelic art form, communicating without words, was a strife for perfection, as Lincoln Kirstein, a famous man, look him up, said, in a world where there is no such thing. And there wasn't perfection in my life, and I thought, this is a good goal. I'll sweep the floor in a ballet. I'll take notes. Well, yeah, there was a typewriter in those days. I'll pull the curtain, whatever it takes. It wasn't long, however, before the bullying started, and I'm not going to go into detail about that subject, but I won't downplay how hideous it is and the hideousness of my own experience. So the comments I used to get were louder, there were more of them, they were uglier, and then the physical kicked in. But those efforts of those kids, their misguided need to paralyze me as a human being backfired, because however shaky my purpose was that I found to be a dancer led me, and it made me not upset, didn't freeze me, made me angry. Mom helped me find a school. Turns out New York City was 20 miles from our home. Now, when those aliens on TV on another planet were actually 20 miles away. She helped me find a school in New York where I could finish high school in a group of young kids who were professionals who wouldn't laugh at me. I started ballet lessons now twice a day because I had a lot of catching up to do. I received a scholarship at the Joffrey School, and they gave me special attention, and it was awesome. And then I started attending performances all over New York, seeing dance live, blown away. And then I saw the New York City Ballet, and that spoke to me, more so than any other dance company that I had seen. This was the strife for perfection that Lincoln Kirstein spoke about. This was order. It was so pure. There are no words, and I thought, that is the stage I will mop, that is the curtain I will pull. I thumbed through the program. Who's the architect of this? George Balanchine, one of the most famous names in the history of ballet. Does he have a school? School of American Ballet. Off I went. After a year at the Joffrey, I auditioned. Now I'm really old. I'm 16. 1 year, 4 months of dance. They said to me, well, you know, you can move, but guess what? You're old. They gave me a scholarship, as luck would have it. This was like an international airport, this school, compared to the private airport of Joffrey. A lot of special attention there. Golden boy, right? So I thought. Now I've got teachers from all over the world, most of whom speak languages I don't understand, and tons of kids with tons of talent, all younger than me. No special help, no take Steven aside, sink or swim time, learned fast. How do I figure this out and keep up? So I scrutinized the dancers who struggled, but then achieved. And then I watched the naturals and blown away, like, how are they doing that? But most importantly, company members came in, and they were sort of like hot messes at the bar. It's like, who's that? And they would say, that's so-and-so. And then I saw the transformation to superhuman on the stage, and I thought, wow, I know I learned most from them. Now, 2 years went by at this school, and George Balanchine himself called one day, and he said, I need a boy, I want the Greek boy. He had found out my last name was of Greek origin. I need him now. I was 18. I looked like that. That was me at 18. The teachers at the school said, oh, no, 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 he needs more classes. He'll fall by the wayside. And Balanchine said, I have other plans. 2 days later, I was in my first company class with the thoroughbreds that I admired, 75 of them. I shook, I sweated, I dripped, I quivered, I did everything but the steps. Now, my father would have marched away and probably said he's not ready. That kind of thing was in my head. I had this fear of failure because of that influence. My mother would have said, you're a winner. Balanchine turned me around to face his dancers, to introduce them to me to them, and he said, this is our new Greek boy, everyone. We will make him strong. And what he was doing was assigning his thoroughbreds the responsibility to get beyond the great I and address a need. Help me. Pay forward your information, your knowledge, your technique, and lead me along with him. And there he is demonstrating and reaching for me, and at 47 years older than the rest of us, he's in the position none of us would ever achieve. He was a remarkable example setter, not just physically. The next 14 years I flew all over the world, not as high as everyone else. Was I great? No. Was I scared? Often. Did I love it? More than I can explain. I learned very quickly. I had studied piano when I was young, so they threw me into a lot of ballets that I wouldn't have been good enough for. But time is money in the ballet world. 30 minutes, who's going to do it? Well, Caras learns fast. Well, you're not quite ready. I got these parts. You see, Steven Caras, I thought it looked more important to spell my name with a PH then. But what happened was, when I was in a dance with 3, it was a PH, and when they smushed me in a big mob scene, it was with a V. So I looked like a split personality, which I was at this point. So I said, just go with the V eventually. So this was, life couldn't have been more perfect. I had fulfilled that need. I'm dancing in this great company after 3 years of training, but what I'm not facing is the elephant in my room. This is me with my back to myself. My homosexuality, there I said it. I'm gay. My mother would have said, had we used that word then, you want to redecorate the living room again? How gay is that? But of course, she knew I was different. We didn't speak that way. It was a whole different time. I had to think in terms of someone else's needs, finally, besides my own. It was a really selfish 25 years, I have to say, in many ways. I had a girlfriend for years, a beautiful dancer, my best friend in the company. She had a need. She needed to hear the truth so she could move on. So I spoke to her about it, and it was hard, but it was a relief. And then I spoke to Mr. Balanchine about it. I said, you know, there's a guy in the company who's a best friend, and he's in a partnership, but I woke up realizing this is not going to go away like a pimple or a cold. I'm gay. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to be gay. I just am. So he said, take some time off, all right? He recognized that need. He didn't say, go away. My father might have. So during that period, I told my mother, I figured my best friend had to know. And I said, Mom, I guess I'm going to have to be a Democrat now because we were Republican, because I think all gay people are Democrats. How smart was I at 25? And she's crying, oh, this is something your father and I did and this and that. I said, no, I think I can live with a man. It's just so small a part of a big life, Mom. She said, no, 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 not that. Are you sure you're a Democrat? She was more concerned with that. So the phone rang. 9 months later, it was Balanchine. I need you. Can you come back? 2 needs for me to fill a small place and a giant purpose from him. And I was back and loving it with a great sense of relief. 2 years go by. Donizetti comes back in the repertory. I'm not in it. I'm not even called to it. I asked Mr. Balanchine respectfully, is there any reason why I'm not in it? I think I'm a better dancer. You know, it's like 9 years later now. So what am I? You know, what did I do the math? 27 maybe? He said, no, 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 no. Don't take it personally. I need to see new faces now. You've danced it enough. So he's telling me, think in terms of someone else. You might have come out, you might have been a little less selfish with your girlfriend. Now think about the next generation. So it was tough, but it was an eye-opener. Life after dance. Dance, shelf life, about this big. An artist, painter, right? Musician, dancer. The good news in all this, well, you see that? That's like a young face. See, that's a picture I took of a boy at the school who's ready to join the company or ready to dance in Donizetti, and this is what I was once, and I had to think in terms of their needs as well. But things were handleable because I now lived with that very man who was my best friend, no longer in that relationship, and life was a complete, perfect relief. I didn't have to apologize, I didn't have to hold my breath. I was living as myself, finally and complete. But he was so supportive. He said, you know, you need a hobby. You're so blinded by ballet. You got to think in terms of what else you like. Buy that used camera that you love. I said, you know what, I will do that. So what did I do? I bought the camera, and I started fooling around with it. On my first lunch break with my camera at the theater, Balanchine noticed first. And he said, you like taking pictures? And I said, yeah, but if I can figure out how to work this machine. He said, well, experiment on us. How generous was that? So I did. I started taking, this was a very, very generous gesture because there was only one person allowed to photograph the New York City Ballet. It was a private world. A company photographer named Martha Swope, who had been a trained dancer. So he said, just show me everything. I want to see what you see. How very generous. So I'm photographing and I'm learning and I'm getting better and I'm showing him pictures. And a year later, Martha's not available. And the New York Times needs a photo to accompany a review. And Balanchine, without hesitation, said, send the Greek boy. I had an assignment. More importantly, I had a need for him. Finally, another way to give back. Filling a little hole in a big organization in a corps de ballet was great and important, but now a specific need for a newspaper and for the New York City Ballet. Maybe this can lead to more of that. And it did. So over time, this was so exciting, I took more and more pictures and I showed him more, and his guidance with me as a photographer was as critically essential as his teaching was in dance. He had that great artist eye. And I found myself, after about 5 years, juggling 2 real full-time careers. New York City Ballet wanted my pictures, and they needed me on the stage. Here I am, taking pictures from the wings, because oftentimes I was in a costume and photographing for them something that happened right before or after I danced. Here I am dancing, and here's one of my photographs of Baryshnikov, the famous Russian dancer. Now, I'd love to say that's a self-portrait, but it is not. And then in 1983, Mr. Balanchine passed away. He was 79, and we were like a ship without a captain, literally. We hit a brick wall. We were devastated. But I heard a message from him. Hang up the dance shoes, Caras. 14 years on the stage is plenty. There's a need for you, here and elsewhere. It's called Photos. And it's about supplying the needs for these companies so they can sell tickets and promote their organizations and build audiences. So that's what I did. And I traveled, and I photographed dance companies all over the country and the world at some points. And they started to ask me to teach ballet, and I thought, really? I have all this information in me now. I guess I do. And it was reminiscent right away of Mr. Balanchine telling his thoroughbreds to help this novice, this green boy, all those years ago. And I thought, how could I say no to this? So the teaching was inspiring, and I had more information in me than I realized. And this led to ballet master work. Do we know what that is? It's like a conductor of rehearsals and classes for an entire company. So I joined other ballet masters in 2 different dance companies, and we worked directly with dancers. Let's see if that, is it frozen? Yeah. And we were responsible to train them in the morning, teach them their roles, and make sure they were in their places every night on stage. And it was awesome. So 12 years of this, learning more. I promise you, the way teachers here might learn more from their students, I certainly learned more from them. And then I was invited to be the director of development. That's a fundraiser. That's a person responsible for raising money for an organization, a major ballet company. And I thought, how can I possibly learn how to do that? Beg strangers for money, write grants, design galas and events? Where do I come with those qualifications? I don't understand that. And then I thought longer and harder about it. And this is an organization asking me to be sort of a voice, a Pied Piper of sorts, you know, a messenger, to raise awareness and financial support, to keep a healthy roof over the head of the very art form that changed my life and gave me a safe haven to come out as a gay man and support me in the process. Could I say no to that? What made me afraid the most was public speaking, this. I thought, how can I open my mouth in public and not hear my father saying, "Be quiet, you sound like a girl," or the laughter and the snickers of the kids? I had a hard time with it. I needed to gain my sea legs, however, because the cause was enormous and the need for me was so critical. So over time, just like in dance, I was a little less shaky, and I went on the road, as it were, begging folks for money to keep this beloved art form alive and well. And there's a picture of me 2 years ago, only minorly nervous compared to the 2 years before. Of my photographic archive, there are over 120,000 images that I've taken in 40 plus years. This is my favorite. That's Mr. Balanchine's last bow. It's 1982. He died 8 months later. The New York Times said about this picture, the most famous picture in the history of dance has no one dancing in it. And I paraphrase. But boy, that was a nice compliment. But it's true. What you see here is a great man, my mentor, and the mentor of many others, with a loving family of dancers behind him, obviously the sense of a loving audience in front of him. But here's also what you can see. Here's a man that was forced to leave his own country. I left New Jersey. Big whoop. Okay, I crossed a bridge. He left a country that was determined to manipulate him as an artist and as a man. He wouldn't turn back. As a result, he became George Balanchine. Built a great school, built a great company, and a repertory of ballets impossible to describe by the greatest writer. You have to witness them to understand and to benefit. All this because he followed his heart. He didn't compromise. He had beautiful wives and loves and romances and created this world that we all benefit from. As a result, millions are enhanced by his work, then, today, and forever into the future. You guys, there are plenty of needs out there. Once we clean this act up, come clean with ourselves, we can recognize how we can do the best for others, right? The benefits are enormous, and like Balanchine ballets, impossible to put into words. You just have to experience them. So, thank you, everyone, and let's dance on, shall we?